point, that's your customer, right? And how does the company solve the pain point? So let's do some examples. Really easy one. Facebook. What's the pain point? No pain point. There is no pain point for Facebook. It's a crappy company. They're vitamins. Nobody should ever invest in Facebook.
My friends are on
VCs.
Facebook.
They don't own this super valuable asset called Instagram that you all probably use religiously. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be companies wanting to know what their customer wants?
Huh?
Companies want to know what their customer wants.
Okay, so
that's
expand on
data.
what companies?
Big companies.
All companies. Okay. And so, what's Facebook do? How do they solve that pain point?
Provide them with information, just data, general people like, oh, this person likes Gucci, this person doesn't.
Yeah.
This person prefers, I don't know, Michael Kors.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So companies are the customer? Not like me and you, and we hop on and share
No,
pictures of our cats?
we're providing the information that they sell to these.
That's right. That's right. So the users are not the customers of Facebook, right? I think we touched on this maybe last time or during one of the sessions. You don't pay for the product, you are the product. Remember that. So in the case of Facebook, their customers are businesses. And if you own a business, what's your pain point? Your pain point is like, how do I get my product in front of the people that will buy it? How do I identify them? How do I get in front of them? How do I convince them to buy it, right? And before Facebook, that was really, really hard, frankly, right? And that's why you had all kinds of like billboards and commercials, and all of us sat through a ton of like non-relevant ads all the time because businesses were just pushing out ads and hoping that they could get in front of the right people. The other interesting thing is that there were fewer niche products. So there were, the only way to really succeed was to build a product that appealed to as many people as possible because the market and advertising was really tough. Versus today, if I go on Facebook or I go on Instagram, how many ads do I get that are like highly tailored to me from companies that are actually probably pretty small, right? And that's led to the proliferation of a lot of these like small businesses that have been able to start up, create a very unique niche product and sell it to very small groups of individuals. But because of Facebook, they're able to identify, okay, this person likes to go scuba diving, they like taking pictures, they have this much money. You know what? I'm going to create a company that makes an underwater drone and I'm going to sell it to those people, right? That wasn't possible before Facebook. Not easily, right? So it just wasn't a very big market. All right. How about Lyft? Oh, and how does Facebook? So that's how they solve the pain points. They have all the customer data, right? And they provide that customer data to companies for a fee, right? Usually through some sort of advertising. Let's talk about Lyft. What's the pain point? What? Transportation. That is one of the pain points. What's the other pain point? Overpaying for transportation. Has anybody driven for Lyft or Uber? Couple people. What's the pain point? If you, before Lyft, what's the pain point that Lyft solves for drivers? Yeah.
Flexible jobs.
Flexible job. Yeah. So you needed like flexibility on an income basis, but you still wanted to generate some income. There are not a lot of options, right? Lyft solves that pain point, right? Flexible work schedules. What else?
They quickly matches drivers to people who need to be driven somewhere.
Yeah, so if I want to like set up my own little taxi business, how hard is that? Super hard, right? Think of all the things I got to do. I got to have insurance. I got to like get my name out there so people know about me, so that they call me up when they need a ride. That I need like a payment. I need to be able to collect payments. I need like all of these things, right? Think about from a driver perspective, all the pain points that Lyft solves, right? They get you customers. They provide insurance. They have a whole payment gateway system, they have the app, they have like all these things, right? The pain point is, I want to start a business that provides me flexibility, and I want to leverage the asset I already have, which is a car. Lyft, I'm not able to provide all those other things. Lyft provides it, right? So the customer then is the driver. Customer is also the passenger, but really the passenger is the customer of the driver, right? Because who provides that value of transportation? Does Lyft provide it? Nope. The driver does. So the passenger is the customer of the driver, and the driver is the customer of the list. And how does the company solve that pain point? We just talked about all the ways to do that. Okay, does that make sense? So when you're thinking through your business, you got to know what business you're in, right? Is Lyft in the transportation business? Not directly, right? Is Facebook in the social media business? No, they're really in the advertising business, right? So you guys are thinking about like, what business are you in? Who's your customer? How are they paying? All right. Switching gears a little bit. What is business strategy? How would you explain business strategy to, your kid sister? Nobody knows. Yeah.
The way they make money, their business model, like where's the money coming, the revenue coming from?
Okay, so strategy has something to do with business model. Yep, that's part of it. What else? Is that all it is? Our model? Yeah.
Kind of a step-by-step, almost algorithmic, in some cases, plan of a course of actions.
Okay, so we have our model, we have a plan, and a pack. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's a logic that can keep the company in a sustainable development with competitive strategy.
That's right, so we're going to pull all three of those together, and that gives us, strategy is the art of creating monopolies. Business strategy is the art of creating monopolies. Think about it this way. If I have a business, like, let's talk about vitamins, right? Versus painkillers. Where can I, like, how hard is it to set up a vitamins business? Pretty hard? Pretty easy? What do you think?
Well, relative to, I would imagine relative to painkillers, there's a smaller volume of paperwork and medical.
Yeah, it's way easier.
Yeah, it's easier.
Right? It's way easier. Like, I can go and I can source a bunch of vitamins and I can sell them. Right?
Sell it at Whole Foods, yeah.
If I want to sell painkillers, think about all the like regulations I got to go through. Maybe I'll need IP, like patents. Like, if anybody's going to buy my painkiller versus another, I probably have to pour a ton of money into research and development. Like, it's a lot harder, right? That's part of the reason why you want to invest in painkillers rather than a vitamin. You want to invest in things that are hard. Because things that are hard mean that if they can pull it off, they can make it work. It's going to be really hard for somebody else to copy it, right? When I say that you want to invest in companies that create monopolies, it's very rare to find a true, full-fledged monopoly where they absolutely control the market, okay? But what you're looking for is a company that has monopolistic characteristics, right? So like Google is a good example. Is Google like a true monopoly? They own 100% of the internet search market? No, some people use Bing. I don't know who they are, but some people do. Google, though, is a monopoly, right? In the internet search space. Even though they don't have 100% market share, they are definitely a monopoly. There are a lot of other things that are monopolies, too, in their own way, right? So, Coca-Cola, monopoly or no? What do you think? Yes?
Well, duopoly maybe, or
Duopoly?
part of the one of the two. With Pepsi.
What happens if I set up a company and I slap a Coca-Cola sticker on my drink and I start selling it? What?
Might get away with it.
How long am I going to get away with that?
Not long.
Not very long, right? Why is that?
Trademark?
They have trademarks, right? They have all kinds of things that will come after me, stop me. So Coca-Cola has a monopoly over selling Coca-Cola, right? That's a brand. They maintain that brand, they own that brand. Do they have a monopoly when it comes to selling soda? No. Do they even have a monopoly when it comes to selling cola products? No. But they do have a monopoly over their own brand. Does that make sense? There are different elements of it that create a monopoly, right? That make them different than the competition and make it harder for the competition to copy them exactly, right? So when businesses are thinking about business strategy, they're trying to figure out how do we compete? How do we become different? How do we not become like vitamins or commodities? How do we become more like painkillers and create barriers and moats to entry and imitation and so forth? All right, so there are basically two different ways that you can create a barrier to entry or have a source of competitive advantage. You either have a low-cost strategy or you have what's called a differentiation strategy. Differentiation means that you're different than other people, right? And because you're different, you appeal to different types of people. Does that make sense? Low cost is all about, it's really hard to replicate exactly what another company does from a cost structure perspective. So, I really like, then within that you have niche market play, or you can have a broad range of providers. So, let's talk real quick about shoes. It helps cement this in your brains. Anybody tell me what a broad differentiation strategy, or what shoe company uses a broad differentiation strategy? Another way to think about differentiation is nice. Lots of benefits. Usually expensive, right? Think about like Coca-Cola, right? Versus like the cheapo nickel cola, right? At the grocery store that's not branded. That make sense? Coca-Cola. Okay, so shoes. Who uses a broad differentiation strategy? Trying to appeal to a lot of different kinds of people. Nike. Thank you. Nike is the shoe company that does that, right? Nike products are nice, right? They're high quality, and you name the sport or activity, they make a shoe for it, right? They make a shoe for everything, like speed skating to golf, basketball, soccer. They even made dress shoes for a while. I guess you can consider their golf shoes kind of dressy. That's a strategy, okay? What about focused differentiation? Yeah. Louis Vuitton. Okay, that's a good one. Any other ideas from shoes? Gucci. How about companies that just make shoes though? Louis Vuitton and Gucci, they make a lot of stuff. Huh? Okay. Yep. Any other ideas? That's a good one.
Allbirds, when they came out, nobody was up making a all wool shoe.
Allbirds.
Now they're designed pretty popular amongst the major.
But they only sell like 2 shoes, right? Or I guess 3 shoes. But they're kind of expensive, they're like $100. What's the women's shoe company? It's like Wayne or something. Anyways.
Oh, Alex, yeah, there's,
Huh?
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't put my finger on it. Like
Anyways,
Alex.
okay, so you get the idea, right? Really expensive, but they only make like women's shoes. So they only like Allen Edmonds. Anybody know Allen Edmonds? They make really high-end dress shoes. Okay, so but that's all they make. They're like dress shoes are like they start at $400. Okay. All right. What about focused low-cost strategy? You may not know a brand. I don't know a brand. I kind of know one brand, but usually there isn't much of a brand. This is low cost. Anybody know an example? What? Like what?
Well, Timberland and they're just.
Okay, maybe, yeah. That's not a bad one. Timberland.
Skechers.
Sport shoes. Skechers fits in a different category. Okay, How many of you ever bought those like super cheap flip flops at like the Gap or Old Navy or at like the tourist shop on the beach? You're like, crap, I forgot my flip flops. You go in, you give them like 50 cents, right? They give you some flip flops. That is a focused low cost strategy. They don't do anything else but make flip flops, and they just churn them out, right? And they just make them as cheap as they possibly can. What about an overall low cost strategy? There's a company that just filed bankruptcy. Fits this really well. Pay less, right? You're willing to pay less. They got lots of different options. They're all cheap, right? And then which one is this? Somebody mentioned it. Skechers, right? These Skechers, like they don't make quite the variety of like a Nike. They're not as garbage as like the flip flops, right? They're definitely not as nice as the Louis Vuittons, right? So Skechers, right? That's not strategy. Okay, so these are generally the different types of strategies companies use. And how you want to kind of evaluate how they're positioning themselves in the market. And each of these different buckets is going to solve a different pain point for people, right? When you buy the flip-flops, you're solving for a much different pain point than when you buy, some really nice pair of dress shoes. Okay. The other thing is, what I want you to think about is differentiation. It's all about making your product appeal to a different group of people. Okay? Right? I don't buy Louis Vuitton shoes. It just doesn't appeal to me. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just doesn't appeal to me, right? But it appeals to other people. Okay? Low cost. Well, so that's what I want you to think of. They're able to target different, get access to different types of people. The people that buy Louis Vuitton don't buy other types of shoes, right? They're not going in and they're not buying like the crapple of Timberland shoes from Walmart, right? Low cost. I want you to think about low cost is really hard to replicate their business model. They do, right? It'd be really hard for Louis Vuitton to start making really, really, really cheap sandals. Right? They'd have to like go and build tons and tons of these factories and invest a ton of money, and then they'd have to tie into all the right. They'd have to get tons and tons of distribution, which is really hard to do, right? Because they're only making pennies on each sandal, right? It's really hard to replicate that. Okay. So, and then what you really want is you want both. So as a venture investor, that's what we look for. Anybody give me an example of a company that might have both? Differentiation and low cost. Yeah. Maybe not shoes, just any. We're done with shoes. But they're apparel, but
They had to supply.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that's not a bad example. Anybody else? All right, so technology generally has both. That's why most VCs invest in technology. Think about it this way. Let's talk about Facebook. Does Facebook create a better user experience than other social networks that are out there? Yeah, they kind of do, because if somebody else had a better experience, you guys would probably use it, right? If nothing else, you use Facebook and Instagram because all your friends use Facebook and Instagram, right? Now, if I wanted to launch a competing service to Facebook, how expensive would it be? Super expensive, right? Why would it be super expensive? Not because the technology is that hard. Because I gotta go and I gotta get all of these people, and I basically have to pay them to join the platform, right? So it's really hard to replicate them both in terms of like how much value they create for users, as well as their cost structure. Does that make sense? Software is another good example. If I write software, once I write it, I can sell it to lots and lots of people, right? Super scalable. I don't have to rewrite it every time I sell it to a new customer. So I've got kind of this low cost advantage over companies that have to provide a service every time they solve that same problem my software provides. software is easier to use. Maybe it integrates with more systems and other softwares, right? In the case of Apple, right? The value of Apple is the apps, right? You can download all of these different apps on an Apple iPhone, right? That gives them an advantage over other companies. Okay, so I'm going to stop hammering that. Any questions on business analysis? Strategy and all that. Okay. Let's talk about markets. So, anyone know who Ben Horowitz is? I think I might have even used this quote last week. Ben Horowitz is one of the founding partners of Andreessen Horowitz, which is arguably one of the top venture funds in the world. And he's quoted as saying, "We invest in college dropouts with insane ideas going after tiny markets with no way to monetize." Does that sound like a winning strategy for a venture fund? He's being a little facetious, but what is he actually saying? What does he mean? Everybody think of an example of a company that fits that. Yeah? Facebook? Yeah, why Facebook?
Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college and there wasn't really any social media at the time. And so Facebook dropped everything to capitalize.
And they didn't make money for years and years. I remember like when they would raise money, we'd be like, what are venture capitalists doing? They don't generate a dime in revenue. And they're giving them hundreds of millions of dollars. Right? Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to say Google or PageRank. So Sergey Brin and Larry Page also dropouts. Although I think they were pursuing a PhD program, but still, same sort
Okay,
of.
so they dropped out, but I mean that's only one of 4 ideas up here, 4 concepts. I agree with you though. Google is not a bad one. How big was the internet search market at the time? Pretty small, right? Pretty much non-existent. And if you think about it, this idea, before the internet had really taken off, the insane idea was that like, this is going to be huge. Everybody's going to need like a way to organize the internet and find stuff on the internet. And when they launched, they really didn't have a way to monitor. They weren't charging people to search things. They didn't even, fully launch their advertising business for quite a while. All right. Here's my favorite example. Airbnb. This is their original logo back in the day. Think about this, right? Think about like if you're a venture capitalist and somebody comes to you and they're like, so I have this idea. We're going to create this platform where we will charge people, or we will let people rent out their couch to total strangers and come and sleep in their house. And we are going to take a very small fee on that transaction. Okay. Today, that doesn't seem like such a crazy idea, but back in the day, like there are so many VCs that hatched on that deal. They're like, are you kidding? This is crazy. Who is going to do that? Think about the liability issues. Think about all these things, right? Insane idea. And how big was that market? How many people were sleeping on other people's couches and paying for the privilege? Not very many, right? There was a website called Couch Surfing, and that was about it. And they didn't really make money. It was more just like, hey, I have a free couch. You want to sleep here? That was like their only real market validation. But so super teeny market. But is that really Airbnb's market? No. What's Airbnb's market?
Well, potentially every single couch.
It's hotels, right? Yeah. And it's not just hotels. Because how many people, even in this room, travel more because they can stay in an Airbnb than they would if they had to stay in a hotel? Right? I do. Definitely do. Right? Hotels are kind of expensive. And now, instead of paying, $50 to $100 a night, I could stay in an Airbnb for like $20 to $30 to $20 to $50 a night, right? It makes it more accessible, travel more accessible to more people. That in turn then grows the market, right? But yes, the hotel market is the hospitality market. But the bigger question, and this is what I'm trying to get at with markets that you need to understand, is that it's not how much people spend in a given market, like how much people spend in the hotel industry. It's how much pain they feel when they want to travel. How many people feel the pain point of wanting to travel, right? Wanting to stay in someplace nice, or someplace cool, or whatever it might be. And Airbnb solves that pain point, right? Even if, like, technically the market doesn't exist, that's their market. All of the people that fill a pain point of, like, I want to travel, but I don't have enough money to spend, $100 a night. All right. So why do VCs invest in big markets? Any thoughts? They're people that we invest in tiny markets, but really we want to invest in big markets. Why do we want to invest in big markets? Can't you build a nice little business in a market that's small? Yes? No? Maybe so? Is that, do these not work?
Because there's really proven history within that market that it works.
Proven history? Okay. What other thoughts? How big is our fund for this competition? Everybody remember? $50 million. Okay? Okay, how many investments do you think we're going to make out of this fund? 20? Okay, so how much are we going to deploy in each investment? $2.5 million, right? Okay, and that is going to buy, let's say that buys us 10% of the company. Okay? That's pretty standard. Okay? $2.5 million buys me 10% of the company. How big does the company have to be? How big does it have to sell for in order for me to return my fund of $50 million on one investment? Remember our prior discussion? Every deal I invest in has to have the potential of returning the fund, right? So, how big does this company have to sell for? How much does one company in my portfolio have to sell for? I have 10% of it. 50 million. 500 million, right? That's right. So, if I invest in a company in the early days, and it eventually sells for $50 million, then I will return my fund on one investment. Does that make sense? Okay, in order to build a company that's valued at $500 million, I'm going to need to generate at least $100 million of revenue. Okay? We'll talk about next week or in 2 weeks, like how we get to that. But generally, if we're using comps, and generally, like a good rule of thumb is 5 times your revenue in a venture-backed startup. So I need a company that's going to generate $100 million in revenue. How big does my market need to be in order to have a company that can generate $100 million in revenue and still have good growth prospects? Because if it's not growing, nobody wants to buy it, right? Especially not for $500 million. So, how big does the market need to be? Minimum, do you think? You good?
Well,
Yeah.
You have to specify the market share for the, like, are we talking about 10% of the market, 25, 50?
What do you think is realistic for a company to capture and continue to grow?
Well, at least 20%.
20%.
What is that? Is that an overshot or?
I think capturing 20% of the market is pretty tough.
Yeah, depending on the size.
How many
of the market.
companies do you think own 20% of their market? Huh?
Google.
Google owns a lot more than 20%. It kind of just ties along to our population growth rate, right? There could be external factors. So if the law comes out and says that disposable diapers now have to be biodegradable and you can't have plastics in them, that's going to increase the price of diapers, which is going to decrease demand, which is going to slow down the market, right? Because people start shifting when the prices go up to alternatives. Maybe they use reusable diapers, cloth diapers, right? You have things like fax machines. So when you look at like social networks, the market for Facebook, right, was slow, but then more and more people got on it, and all of a sudden it like started to grow super fast until everyone was on it, and then it started to grow again, right? And now it's like not cool, so like it's declining. And then you've got, which brings me to my next point, which is culture and customs. So the example I really like here is that in China, in the year 1999, the birth rate dropped drastically. Nobody could figure out what was going on. Anybody know what happened in the year 2000 that might have increased the birth rate? Yeah?
Wasn't it one child?
So the one-child law was already around and in place. It was kind of a contributing factor, but not the.
Or was it that there was more males than females?
Oh, that's a good guess. Anybody ever, going back to my Chinese restaurant example, what does the menu usually have on it? Or not usually, but often, a little calendar on it. The animals.
It's not popular to have a child here.
Not only was it not popular to have a child in that year, does anybody know what animal it was in the year 2000? Right. It's the year of the dragon. So 1999, I don't even know what it was, but it wasn't as good as the dragon. And not only was it the dragon, it was the golden dragon. And so you had all of these women that were like, I'm not having it. When I have my one child that I get to have, that one child is going to be born in the year of the golden dragon, right? So birth rates dropped, which meant that all in 1999, which meant all of the products for that dropped. And then in 2000, there was a huge spike, right? And then it came back to normal. All right, so custom cultures really impacts things. Yeah, things like gluten-free, like 7% of products are gluten-free, despite the fact that only 3% of the population has celiac disease. Yeah, you could go on a lot of products that fit that. All right, any questions on market? Okay, so when you write up, you need to cover market size and you need to cover what is driving the market. Is it growing? How fast is it growing? What's driving that growth? All right, competition. So, does anybody know what a value chain is? All right, what's a value chain?
Didn't we talk about it in one of the previous workshops?
We talked about it briefly,
the Tesla car, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, okay, so a value chain is simply the chain of events that has to occur to bring something from no value, like from a raw material, to a finished good in the hands of somebody, okay? So for my example, we're going to use sandwiches, okay? So roughly you can break up value chain into 3 buckets. So I got raw materials, I have manufacturing, I have distribution. So I have a sandwich. I manufacture sandwiches, okay? I have suppliers that I buy from. Bread, right? I gotta buy bread so I can make my sandwiches. And then I gotta sell my bread or my sandwiches to like a restaurant that they then provide those to people, okay? They have buyer power, right, over me. And the bread companies have supplier power over me. How many, like, if in this example, how hard is it to make bread? Well, not very hard to make bread, right? Hopefully any of us could, like, at least buy, like, a bread machine and make, follow the instructions to make breads. So probably lots of suppliers of bread, which means that if this supplier doesn't want to give me bread, I can go to a different supplier, right? What about buyer power? Well, there are probably fewer restaurants than there are bread suppliers. right? So the buyers may have more power over me, but it could be either way, right? Depends on your industry and where you are in the industry and in the value chain and how you interact. If you have lots of buyers, then they don't have, any single one doesn't have a lot of power over you. But if there's only one, they have a ton of power, right? Like Walmart and Amazon have a tremendous amount of buyer power because they own so much of the markets where they operate, right? Okay. Then there's like other companies, like maybe they make, you know, a ham sandwich and I'm selling a turkey sandwich, right? So that's rivalry. And then like there could be other companies, right? They make, you know, roast beef sandwiches. Maybe they're gonna enter my market. And then like there's this whole other value chain occurring somewhere else for pizza, and pizza is a substitute to my turkey sandwich. That make sense? Anybody know what these different these 5 factors are? That's right, it's Porter's 5 forces. This is how Porter's 5 forces works. Does this make sense? Okay, this is also all your competition. Right? You have threats of new entrants. So this is somebody solving the same pain point. I'm hungry and I need something that like is portable that I can eat, right? So somebody's gonna make a similar product to mine, like a sandwich, a different type of sandwich, and enter my market. There could be other sandwich types already in my market that I'm competing against, right? And then somebody could solve the same pain point, but in a totally different way, like pizza, right? Pizza solves the same general pain points. I'm hungry, and I need something that I can like, that's portable, right? Pizza solves that pain point, even though it's like a totally different product. And again, this brings it back to why you really need to understand the pain point that your company is solving. You're gonna properly evaluate the business, the strategy, the market, and the competition. All right. So, okay, so those are those 3 competitors, but your suppliers could also be competitors, and your buyers could also be competitors because they could do what's called vertical integration, right? This supplier could decide, you know what, we make bread. It's not that hard to like throw some turkey on there and some lettuce and make a sandwich. So they could move into my space. And my buyers, they could also do the same thing, right? The restaurant's like, look, it's not hard to just go to the supplier and buy some bread and buy some turkey and we'll just make the sandwiches here, right? So they could vertically integrate. These are the various sources of your competitors you need to be thinking about. Okay. So once you've gone through that list, right, you understand your value chain, you understand where the competition is coming from, then you got to figure out like who's going to win. And that again goes back to understanding the pain point. So what are the factors that will determine who will win? And it's going to vary depending on the business, right? But again, like my pizza versus turkey sandwich example, if you understand what the pain point is, right, then you can evaluate the different competitors. So just some questions I like to ask myself, right, is do I understand the customer, who's buying it, and their pain point? Why does this market even exist, right? What's the fundamental reason a market exists? It's another question to ask yourself to help you get at it. And you have to understand how each company is trying to solve that customer's pain point, right? Is solving it like a pizza solution or a sandwich solution? And then what I would highly recommend you do is you create one of these to help demonstrate your company versus the others. So you basically have 2 axes. Sorry, this isn't super easy to read. I was kind of in a rush to grab something. But what this company was doing is they were saying, look, you can have an open platform or a closed platform. You can have a single product solution or a comprehensive product solution in your market, right? And what I mean by that, so comprehensive is like it does everything for you, right? So you just sign into one product and it does all the things you need, versus single product would be like it just does one thing, but it does that one thing really, really well, right? And then closed would mean that it doesn't really talk to anybody else. It doesn't integrate with anybody else. Whereas open platform is it works with everybody, right? It integrates with all these other companies, okay? Like, Apple is a closed platform, right? Android is an open platform. Does that make sense? And Android, you can integrate with the software, you can do lots of different things. Facebook or Google makes it really open. Apple, on the other hand, is very closed. It's very hard to get access to their underlying code. Okay, so you've got to figure out, though, in your case, like, what are the factors that really matter and determine who's going to win in your space. It could be that you say, like, let's use our sandwich example. Okay, so the things that matter the most for our market are people need food that's convenient to carry around, right? And they're hungry, like, they need something affordable. Okay, maybe those are the two factors: cost and convenience. Okay? So you could have a cost or a convenience, or let's see. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You just put cost and convenience on these two, and then you map them out, right? So you'd say, okay, well, cost-wise, like affordability at the top, right? You always want to be on the top right-hand corner. You'd say, okay, well, pizza's affordable, sandwiches are affordable, they're convenient. Sandwiches are a little more convenient than pizza to carry around. So like, sandwiches are here and pizza's here, right? A big bowl of spaghetti. Yeah, that's pretty affordable, but not very convenient, so it's over here, right? And steak. Steak's like down here. It's like not affordable and not convenient at all, right? Like you don't see people walking around with like a big slab of steak and gnawing on it as they go to class. Although maybe they do that with beef jerky, so maybe that fits over there, right? Expensive, but convenient to carry around. Does that make sense? So you can kind of map out where all your competitors are, and then you want to think about like, where are my customers? What do they care about? Really demonstrate like, look, we're going after the people that want convenience, and they want affordable convenience. That's what we want. We think this is a huge market. We've just defined like there's $1 billion, dollars worth of value in that market, and sandwiches do that, like fill that need better than anything else out there. We've demonstrated it through this diagram. Does that make sense? It's kind of an easy way to consolidate a ton of information. And you could have multiple ones. Maybe you identify like, no, really there's like 4 different factors that's going to determine who wins, and so you create, 2 different curves. I don't know, right? You can kind of think through it.
What type of chart is this called?
So it's called a strategy map. At least that's what I call it. Okay, so for what you need to turn in, you need to figure out who are the top competitors, what are the factors that will determine who will win, how is your company positioned relative to the competition, and what are your company's sources of competitive advantage? Or in other words, what keeps the other companies from being able to copy you or sell to the same customers? Right? Differentiation versus and low cost. And these slides will be up on the website, so take notes, but they'll also be up there too. Any questions on that? All right. Okay, so just to sum it up, this is what you want to have for half of your deal screen. This is what you really want to have for your first submission that's due in a week or so. Right, the 23rd? Okay, so it is, what is the pain point? Who is the customer and how does the company solve that pain point? Okay? Understand your business, what they do, how they solve pain points. How does the company then capture the value that they create? Right? Do they charge advertising fees? Do they take a cut of the revenue like a Lyft or an Airbnb? Do they just sell the product like a widget? You just sell the product, you buy it from us, you take it, you use it, right? How do they make money? Market. How big is the market? Do your TAM, SAM, and SOM? And how quickly is it growing? What's driving that growth? And then competition. Who are my competitors? Who are my top competitors? You really don't have time to cover like every single possible competitor, but who are the biggest threats? how is your company positioned against them? And what's keeping, like, why is your company going to win and keep others from copying? Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so just reminders. We are right here. So tonight, your top 3 companies are due. The first one is the company that you are most excited about. The other 2, I don't care about the order, but the first one on the response form should be your top company. And I think Ralph showed you guys the form. It's basically the company, where you found them, and then why you like them, why they're so great. So, and then next week, we'll have workshop number 4, or not next week, in 2 weeks. We'll cover the other half of the due diligence you have to do, as well as give you pointers for your final presentation. That will be due then slightly before, and then we'll have our final event. Just some other dates to keep in mind. So on the 16th, end of this week, we're going to announce the top 20 teams. And then we'll have our workshop. After that, we'll announce the top 12. Then we'll announce the final 5 to 6. Then we'll have our final event. And yeah, just reminders and assignments and dates. Any questions? Cool. If you guys have any questions or you want feedback or help on the companies you've selected or the route you're going or whatever, feel free to grab me, Kate.